June the 28th meeting of the Alarm Systems Contractors Board. We also want to welcome our new board member, Mr. Lou Richard. Ms. Best, will you please call the roll?
Scott Cockcroft.
Here.
Keith Harvey.
Here.
Vivian Hickson.
Here.
Lou Richard.
Here.
Madam Chair, you do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Have the members had an opportunity to review the agenda for today's meeting, and if so, a motion to adopt?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to adopt our agenda for today's meeting. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. I understand we don't have the minutes from the last meeting yet. Is that correct?
Right. We don't have minutes to vote on. We will, once we get those minutes, send them out to you. We will ask you to vote on those as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next is our legal report with Mr. Stuart Huffman.
Good morning. Number 1 is 2018-007311. Complainant has canceled the contract and automatic withdrawals with respondent. However, respondent withdrew a month's billing shortly thereafter. The respondent agreed it was an error and issued a refund. A short time after that, complainant received another bill from respondent. After contacting respondent, they informed complainant to ignore the billing and any past due balances have been deleted. Respondent has confirmed that no funds are due and the account has been deleted. Respondent admitted they are not licensed, however, they do not install or monitor the alarm systems, only handle billing. Respondent contracts with licensed alarm contracting companies to install and or monitor, which those licenses were verified. Recommendation is to close.
So is this a funding company or something that that would be excluded, or is it a?
It's a funding company.
Okay.
Make a motion to concur with council.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey to concur with council. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mr. Richard. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
And number 2 is related to number 1. It's 2018-012211. The board in its February 2018 meeting requested this complaint be opened against respondent. The issue stems from complaint number 2017-07151. The summary was as follows. Complainant states that he attempted to contact respondent and was connected to a monitoring company. Complainant states that the monitoring company denies offering services for respondent since 2016. Respondent indicates the complainant does not have an account with them. Respondent states that the complainant's account was owned by a similarly named incorporated company, which was subsequently sold in 2015. Respondent states that his company, formed as an LLC, opened after complainant's contracting with the unrelated company. Respondent states that they are not responsible for serving as the alarm contractor for complainant. Research corroborates respondent's explanation of the complainant's confusion. Respondent in this complaint admitted they are not licensed, however, they do not install or monitor the alarm systems, only handle billing. Respondent contracts with licensed alarm contracting companies to install and or monitor, which those licenses were verified. Respondent uses a different monitoring service and stated that if complainant had called the number on his billing, he would have been connected to the correct monitoring service provider. Complainant has since canceled all contracts. Respondent has confirmed that no funds are due and the account has been deleted. Recommendation is to close.
Make a motion to concur with council's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to concur with our council in this matter. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Number 3.
3. 2018-009-101. Complainant had monitoring service established in a vacant home that was listed for sale. Complainant alleges that salesperson stated since the contract was for less than a year, the service would be terminated upon notification. After 6 months, the house was sold and complainant has tried to cancel the service but alleges that respondent will not cancel. Complainant has canceled the credit card that was being charged and has not received any billing. Respondent states that they are not the account holder and the complainant contracted with their authorized dealer that installs and monitors. Respondent forwarded the complaint to the authorized dealer, quote unquote, AD, for response. The AD stated that they contracted with complainant on 5/26 of 17. On 7/10 of 17, complainant requested to downgrade the system but was outside the 30-day courtesy period. However, they agreed to downgrade. AD alleges that complainant did not contact them until 2/8 of 18, which was outside the 6-month no termination fee cancellation period. The AD offered to transfer the service to the new property and waive the termination fee, but complainant refused. Complainant did not pay the termination fee, and the account was sent to collections after numerous attempts to settle with complainant. Recommendation is to close.
Doesn't sound to be a civil matter. I would make a motion to concur with the recommendation of our council to close.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Cockcroft, a second by Mr. Harvey to concur with our council's recommendation. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 4, 2018-017211. Complainant alleges that respondent came to their house and stated he was with their current security company looking to offer an upgrade due to recent connectivity issues. Complainant refused the offer but took a business card. The respondent's business card shows he is with a different security systems company selling systems of another company than the one complainant owns. Recommendation is to issue a $500 civil penalty for violation of Tennessee Rules and Regulations 0090-06-.02, door-to-door solicitation, and Tennessee Rules and Regs 0090-06-.03, standards of conduct and ethics.
Was the door-to-door salesman actually licensed?
He is an employee of a licensed company.
Registered.
Yes.
Making claims to be with a different company.
Yes. He was making claims to be with their current company, and he was not.
And am I to understand, is the complainant an owner of an alarm company? At the very end, it says another company than the one complainant owns.
No, the complainant is the homeowner.
Okay.
So the own should just basically be has service with.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to concur with the recommendations of our council.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Cockcroft, a second by Mr. Richard to concur with our council in this matter. All in favor, voice was saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 5, 2018-013-731. It's an anonymous complaint that respondent is advertising selling security systems on a Facebook page. Complainant also alleges respondent is a convicted felon. Respondent's Facebook page shows him advertising sales and installation of self-monitoring systems. Also, respondent recently began advertising position open for an installer. Recommendation is authorize formal and send a consent order with a civil penalty in the amount of $1,000 for engaging in unlicensed activity in violation of TCA 62-32-304 sub A.
Make a motion that we concur with council on this one, and if there's any further discussion about it from the complainant, then they can come here and explain.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to concur with our council's recommendation in this matter. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Will you have language in that, in your letter to this person that they need to cease and desist as well?
The consent order does include that language.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, make sure I clarify this. Charging the $1,000 for unlicensed activity, so if we come in and say they have to wait 6 months to make application. Something that you want me to bring back to the board if they make application?
I would think that if they responded and wanted to, I mean, we want to get people in compliance, but without some further input from them, I don't see how we could do anything else. If they wanted to come forward and request something, I don't see anything wrong with that. That's just my opinion.
Number 6, 2018-022-921. Complainant observed respondent's company vehicle without a license number. Respondent stated that they just added some vehicles to their fleet and were in the process of having them wrapped. One of their vehicles broke down and the worker was put in a new vehicle, but it was unknown that the wrapping process was not complete. All vehicles have been properly wrapped with the license number. Complainant rebutted and just wanted to make sure that the corrective action was made and is fine with the outcome. Recommendation is to close.
Make a motion to concur with council.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Richard to concur with our council in this matter. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 7, 2018-026-841. Complainant alleges that respondent is not licensed for any of their employees. Complainant also alleges the qualified agent is not affiliated with the respondent. There are no other allegations that are not under the authority of this board. Let me repeat that. There are other allegations that are not under the authority of this board. Respondent states this complaint is from a disgruntled former employee. It was verified that respondent is properly licensed as well as all employees being registered. The QA was also verified to be affiliated with the respondent. Recommendation is to close.
Council.
We have a motion by Mr. Harvey. Do we have a second?
I'm just concerned as to why they had but you found that the complaint was baseless, all of it. The company is licensed, all the employees are licensed.
Yes, everybody is properly licensed. The QA is the manager of the
Is there any
respondent.
confusion as far as name, or it just was a baseless claim?
It was a very disgruntled employee that was fired.
Like, did the employee give you names of registered employees that weren't registered, or employees that were supposed to be, that they all turned out to be registered? You didn't find any discrepancies, in other words?
We did not. No, everything that they said was that they were not licensed or anything like that. Any violations was not true.
Excuse me.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to concur with our council. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carried.
Number 8, 2018-024-781. Complainant contracted with respondent to install an alarm system in their new house. Complainant has paid $1,900, however, respondent was sold to another company. This new company denies responsibility to remedy the situation and complete the install. Respondent is in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and the trustee has notified the complainant of possible relief through the court, but they will need to file a claim. Recommendation is to close.
We'll notify the complainant that that's more of a civil issue than a state issue, and would agree.
We have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Richard to concur with our counsel, but to notify the complainant of the civil nature of this matter. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 9, 2018-029-701. Complainant alleges that she had her home phone service terminated in January of 2017 and called the respondent to make sure the termination would not mess up the monitoring. Complainant alleges respondent told her that it would not cause a problem. In October of 2017, complainant's alarm was set off, but she did not receive a call. Respondent sent a technician to look at the issue. Complainant alleges the technician fried the security system, and she did not learn about it until February 9, 2018. Complainant requested a refund of the months she was without monitoring service, which is about $250. Respondent responded and stated that although they disagree and feel that it is the complainant's responsibility to maintain telephone signal for monitoring, they have processed a refund of $250 to the complainant. Recommendation is to close.
With council's recommendation to close.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to concur with counsel to close this matter. All in favor, voice by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 10, 2018-032-621. Complaint was filed against respondent that alleged unlicensed activity. Complainant purchased a home inspection from Lowe's through its referral program called Porch. Complainant alleges that respondent contacted her unlawfully soliciting an alarm system for her home. Complainant looked up the respondent and could not find proper licensure. Executive Director advised counsel that there was a clerical error with the DBA name which caused the respondent to show up as unlicensed in core. This has been corrected. Respondent presented information regarding the referral program of Lowe's. Porch partners with local licensed contractors to offer products and services to its customers. The customer signs a TCPA consent to be contacted by Porch and other home service providers such as Respondent. Respondent is properly licensed and there are no violations. Recommendation is to close.
TCPA.
Consumer Protection Act.
Make a motion to concur with the recommendations of our council to close.
We have a motion by Mr. Cockcroft, a second by Mr. Harvey to concur with our counsel on this matter to close. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 11, 2018-035-981. Complainant alleges respondent is performing unlicensed activity after being issued a previous civil penalty. Respondent was penalized $1,000 in case 2017-021-511 in April 2017. The civil penalty has been paid. Respondent then made application on 11/20/2017 as a registered employee of a licensed alarm system company and is currently licensed. Recommendation is to close.
Was this person operating a company before?
Before he was a company, I guess, but he was unlicensed at that time.
He's now gone to work for a licensed company?
Yes, he was on his own, but now he is working for another company as a registered employee.
Working on the side.
That would be my concern too. Is this that he just got a buddy get him registered and he's trying to operate under their license, or is this?
There's no evidence of that.
Okay.
It looks like he was not licensed and then figured out he needed to be licensed, so he just went to work for another company.
So the complainant couldn't provide you with specific addresses or businesses where this alleged illegal activity had taken place?
No, there was none of that information. It was just a complaint saying that he is out there doing work and is probably not licensed because of the previous complaint, which I believe was the complainant in that complaint.
I just hope there's not other unlicensed activities still going on. But I'll make a motion to concur with recommendations of council and to close the matter.
Before we get a second on this, is this an anonymous complaint, or does this complaint have a name attached to it?
There is a name attached to it. And it looks like it's an industry complaint.
Has anyone on your staff asked this complainant specifically for addresses or locations?
There's one address that they saw this person installing CCTV systems, and it's across from a police department in a city.
Oh, what company put the CCTV system in?
The respondent company. They saw the respondent installing the system.
But he was working for the new company he's licensed with.
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Cockcroft to concur with our council. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Harvey. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to close carries.
We have one represent, number 12, 2017-007-131. The complainant claims he was not provided with a working alarm system that is compatible with his existing phone system. The complainant states the respondent did not inform him that it was not compatible prior to signing the new contract. The respondent now wants the complainant to sign a new contract and/or pay a $360 fee for an upgrade to this current alarm system. The complainant states that this sale was made to him by telemarketing call to the complainant, and the complainant states he is on both the national and the state do not call list. The complainant states that the alarm system is still not working properly. The respondent did not provide a response. The recommendation then was authorize formal charges with authority to settle for $5,000 civil penalty. The board decision concurred. Update: respondent was finally contacted about the outstanding consent order that was previously issued. Respondent provided an emailed response dating February 14, 2017, stating that the complainant's account was terminated with no fees or billing owed. Further, research also shows that the complainant was an existing customer of respondent at the time of the call, which is not covered by the National Do Not Call Registry. The new recommendation is to close.
Make a motion to concur with council's recommendation.
What was their explanation for it being over a year before they sent a response?
They did send a response in time. It was just actually went to centralized and did not come to the legal department. So it was not in our file.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to concur with our council's recommendation to close this. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
That's the end of the legal report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda are the appearances for today's meeting. Ms. Vest, I'll defer to you for that.
Yes, thank you. The first person we would like to talk to is Tyler McGee, if I pronounce that properly. Is he here? Or is it the gentleman's not here? So we'll move on to our other appearances. If you look on your iPad, you will see Exhibit A. That's going to be Brian Cravens. Mr. Cravens, are you here? Would you sign in? The gentleman that the board had already heard his case, but had requested his appearance. Documents or anything?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Okay. Did you bring your qualifying agent?
Yes.
Or would you come up and sign in, please, also? I believe the reason that you had requested that he appears because of some items that was on his background, 7/3/2009. I got 2 counts of fraudulent use of a credit card, where I looked at it, which was guilty, 11/29, and then also theft under $500, which was guilty.
Sir, do you want to introduce yourself to the board? We know who Mr. Cravens is.
I'm Jeff Ledford. I'm the
Jeff Ledford.
Jeff Ledford, LED FORD.
Here's what they're going to look at.
Cravens, do you want to, excuse me, do you want to explain to the board what happened in 2010 with these theft and fraudulent credit card charges?
All 3 of these are dealing with the same case. It was just it's a reflection of what addiction did in my life. Made some bad choices. Had a friend owed me some money at the time. They gave me this credit card.
Make sure the light stays on when you're speaking.
They gave me a credit card to use to go purchase some items to sell to get money back for what they owed me. And when you're gripped by addiction like that, I mean, you're willing to do anything. And there's no justification for it, but that is the essence of what happened. Because at my core, that's not who I am. And my track record for the past few years, I think, states that pretty clearly. But all three of these are dealing with the same case, same credit card, and a purchase.
What have you been doing in the last few years that's changed?
Since this incident, I've graduated from college. I'm involved with my church. I teach kindergarten through third grade at church every weekend. I've been on 2 mission trips to Haiti. I coached, volunteer coached at my old middle school, coaching their baseball team. And I guess the highest priority above all that is I've been clean for 8 years. So that's
How many?
led 8. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that's led to a much better life and much better choices made by myself.
Mr. Ledford, how long has Mr. Craven's been working for you?
Since the end of last year, I think he applied and for his alarm license within the 30 days when he was hired. So about 6 months at this point in time, and he's been a model employee during that time. And I don't come here often. I've been here once before for this type of situation, and that employee, by the way, as an update, has worked out perfectly. It's been 5 years. Moved in roles, and I believe Brian has the same capabilities and responsible type person. Maintain and become a good employee of the company.
Okay. Y'all have questions for Mr. Cravens or Mr. Ledford?
That was the main thing we were after, was just to kind of get a face and a story. Sometimes you look worse on paper. Presented today, I'd make a motion that we grant Mr. Cravens his registered employee license.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to grant Mr. Cravens his registered employee license. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you for coming in, and good luck.
I believe the next one on your iPad would be Exhibit B, would be Paul Horde, if I pronounced that properly.
Mr. Horde and Mr. Owens?
Ms. Vest, I probably should recuse myself.
All right, we will ask you to step out in the hall, please, Keith. Yes.
Haven't seen this application before, right? This is saying that they were requesting to come with the application.
While you're signing in, give us just a second to read the documents we have in the file. Mr. Hort, according to the documents in the file, it appears that you were arrested, I believe, 2008 for possession of a Schedule II drug under 0.5 grams. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is that your one and only arrest?
Yes, ma'am. Before and after. Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been working for the subcontractor associated with Mr. Owens' company?
Since 2000.
2000?
As far as I've been an employee with him for the last month. I got in the business back in 2000, and I think Pat Gillespie was on the board back then, and I don't know. That's when I got into the business. But in 2008 is when they arrested.
I think she's asking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
That was your question, right, ma'am? The last place he worked before he worked for us.
Totally confused me with all of your information.
I'm sorry. I thought you asked me when I got into the business.
How long have you been working in the industry?
Well, actually, for probably 20 years or so.
Doing what?
Installation.
In Tennessee?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How have you been doing installations in Tennessee and not been registered?
Well, I was registered as a sub back in 2000 from through the state, and then I got into with JPI company. My license ended in 16 is when it lapsed.
I believe the gentleman must be talking about the contractors board.
Yes, ma'am.
He's not talking about the alarm board.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm confused with the question. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You've never been licensed by the Alarm Systems Contractors Board before, correct?
No, ma'am.
And that's what you're making application
Yes,
for?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
To become employed by
ADS.
ADS? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've had one arrest in 2008?
Yes, ma'am.
No arrest, no other trouble
Nothing
since
then, nothing before then. No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Owens, tell us about this gentleman. I think he's been with you a month now.
Yes, ma'am. So I've known Paul. I've been with ADS since 1999, September. Paul was doing subcontract work then. I became a service manager in 2008. I knew Paul there. He did a little bit of work for me in service-wise. I've been operations manager and been dealing with install a little more heavier since about 2015, 16. My knowledge of Paul, my relationship with Paul is that my customers love Paul. He always leaves the jobs clean.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Can you slow down just?
I'm sorry, I write slow and talk fast. That was slow for me.
She's the best we've ever had. but
Yeah.
She's got her limits.
Where should I pick up at?
No, I'm good. Just pick up, go.
Okay. So I've known Paul to be ethical in business. I don't know Paul outside of business. I've known him to be ethical. I've known him to be professional. I've never had a problem with Paul as operations manager, service manager, and when I wasn't a manager, sorry, I didn't hear of any trouble at that time either. I apologize for talking fast. I'm trying.
We're not going to attack you. You can,
No,
you can just
I'm not
take it
nervous.
easy.
I just talk this fast. And I'm from here, I promise. But
Okay.
but either which way, Paul's never done my company wrong. My customers have always raved about Paul. He's exemplary of what I want in an employee as far as an installation technician.
So you agree that this was a one-time incident and it doesn't reflect the character of the person he is today?
No, if I hadn't seen that report, I was surprised there was anything at all when we talked about hiring him. But I understand stuff happens, it's the way it is. But I was shocked by that from his professional demeanor.
Drug was it you had?
It was cocaine.
Okay. Other questions for these gentlemen?
Not for them, but what were the statuses of, because had you applied to this board before? No, all of that was to
I have input for that. So I looked at his
Okay.
license on Core. The license he had with our contractor, it was the status was expired. And I've had a couple of those myself. We do internal audits every so often where it goes expired and you got to kind of call and check on it. So right now he has two applications. Actually, there's one from a long time ago that was denied back in '96, but one says expired and one says active or applicant, which is the one we did. So
But not under the alarm systems contractors, under the contractors board.
Under alarm system contractor, he has one that says application expired, And I know that when it happened to us, we didn't get notification. We had to find it.
Have you applied before?
Well, that it was with a company that I did apply with, and we never heard anything back. And so, just being busy, we kept on going with it. And then I was offered a position with ADS, and then that's when we reapplied here recently with ADS.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was wondering about, were just the prior ones, because it says in here that there was a denied and an expired.
An expired one will sneak up on you if you're not careful. I've had a couple of times where I've had to call and say, I've applied, it's expired, what happened, and it's been different reasons.
Are y'all still looking for something?
If you would
Okay.
just give me a minute, because we're looking.
This is his first appearance in front of the board.
Yes, it does appear that he has made application before. He does have different file numbers that we will have to convert over to one file number, whether he's issued or whether he's denied. With the new system, we have difficulty when they make more than one application carrying over from the old system to the new system. But in other words, he still has never held a license with the Alarm Systems Contractors Board.
My concern, I guess, more was about the one that was denied. I can understand the one that's expired might have been with a company that he's no longer employed, or.
Hold just a minute. We do show it says denied other. So hold, see if we can find it for you. According to what we have on our old system, it says that this gentleman here made initial 96. Reapplied. That one didn't get processed. Then he reapplied again in 99. Put it down. Yeah. But in 2000, the board determined to approve his application. Now, why it didn't get carried through, I don't have that information at my fingertips here. But this application has come before the board in 2000, and the application was approved at that time based on the criminal record. So there was a 19.
So what happened in the 90s that we don't know about?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I was actually working at the time, and this was back in the 90s, and I didn't think it was on the record. They told me that was taken off. It was very stupid. I was sitting there on a payphone. Back then we had payphones everywhere. And I was over around Dickerson Road. I was doing a service call. And some lady across the street came over to me and asked me for a cigarette. And I'm like, I'm on the phone, and I'm talking on the phone to a customer. And then she got off the phone. When I got off the phone, I said, here, I gave her a cigarette out there, and she goes, do you want a date or something like that? And I had no cash on me, no money on me, nothing, and I was married at the time. I have 2 kids.
Prostitution.
Right, and she was an undercover one, and I was just joking with her, and I was like, well, how much is it nowadays? And she said $10, and I was like, oh my God, that's a great deal, and I was just kidding around with the lady, but I had no cash on me, and I wasn't planning on doing anything. I mean, I was in a work vehicle. And as soon as I said something like that to that approach, she did something and the police came over. Then I went to court and they said they dismissed it because I wasn't trying to get her in my truck. I didn't offer her any money. And then that's when I went in front of the board. So I thought that was taken off my record. And it wasn't even arrested.
That's enough.
Yeah.
You get bad luck, man.
I'm telling you.
So 2000, he was approved, but nothing, but was that with the alarm system or with the,
Yes, he's made several applications with this program, but has
is
not
there a
been
problem
listed.
in his file that we should not, is there something else we don't know about that?
No, there's nothing else there. It's just it carried over from one file, one computer system to another, and all the information did not get pulled together into one file. He's got two different file numbers.
And this can all be combined and cleaned up, and
Yes.
he'll have one file number. Do we have a motion? Or more questions?
I don't have any more questions. I would make a motion to approve the application.
We have a motion by Mr. Cockcroft, a second by Mr. Richard to approve his employee registration application. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations. And I think these ladies will get all of this mess
Yes, we're gonna
cleaned
have
up,
this-
and you can move
It's going
forward.
to take a
and-
few minutes to get, a little bit to get, pull this together.
Thank you
Mr.
for
Board.
coming.
Thank you for your time.
Oaken over there, it was like. Is Mr. Murray here? Go ahead and come forward and be signing in while they clear up that matter.
This gentleman may be recognizable to you because he's asked to appear today. This gentleman failed some drug screens or had some charges. You agreed to give him his license, provided that he would take drug screens. He failed those drug screens. We revoked the registration, and so he's here today to talk to you.
Yes. Originally what happened was I failed a drug screen for ACT, which we discussed.
Let's hold on just a second. I'm just getting it clear in my head. You're the same one I remember appearing before us before.
Mr. Richard, just for your information, Mr. Murray appeared at the end of 2017 with a registered employee application. The board at that time agreed to grant that application, grant him a registered employee registration with the agreement that he would sign a litigation monitoring consent order whereby he would submit to random drug screens. If he failed those drug screens, his registration would be revoked. When that first test came through, he did not pass that drug screen. We revoked the application, And a few weeks ago, he contacted my office and requested to appear before the board, and so that's why he's here today.
Don't have an application.
There's been no new application filed in that interim time.
Would it be necessary for him to apply again under the circumstances, or is it still valid?
If I'm completely honest, and I don't know if Cody has spoken with him, I'm not exactly sure what he's requesting of the board at this time.
Well, yeah, first tell us why are you here?
Well, first of all, the drug screening that I failed was over a year ago for ACT security. I'm confused by the story here, but I did come back here at the end of 2017, and I was told that in order for me to possibly get my status changed from revoked, that I had to do 6 months of drug testing, which I have completed for Beacon Technologies, working under their cabling department. I have proof that I've taken 6 drug screens and haven't failed one in the last 7 months. So the license being revoked for failing a drug screen was prior to my previous visit here, which is why my license was revoked from ACT security.
It was my understanding didn't you submit somebody else's urine for a specimen?
Yes, that is why I failed the drug screen, because I was nervous about.
Then you came in and you promised us all that you were clean, straight, got away from New Jersey, because that's where all the negative influence was.
Right.
And then you left out of here, and within 30 days you had another dirty drug screen, correct?
When I was with ACT, yes.
I do remember you coming before us, and each time we've asked you not to disappoint us, but you've always disappointed us.
I think everything's confused, because last time I was in here, I was told that I could do 6 months of drug testing, and I did not disappoint anyone in the last 7 months. I've passed all of them.
When was your last appearance?
December of 17. I don't think you were here.
You're right, I wasn't.
I'm
here.
Adam. I'm his QA. We sat right there, and
I wasn't. I
we
had a
went through the
medical issue. I
instructions
wasn't
of
here.
what we'll do. I spoke directly with you.
You have to make sure this is on so it's recording.
We were going to do 6 random drug tests. He was going to work in our cabling division, and then once we brought proof of this, then he could reapply. That's what we talked about in December. So I don't know if the notes are a little bit askewed, but that's where we were.
I do recall that happening. I'm a little bit confused on was there or was there not a bad drug screen between then and now?
No.
Okay, if I can. In our notes, on 4/24/17, per April 24th board meeting, applicant set to revoke. All right, we did that. He was with ACT Security. We received a termination notice because he didn't pass it said tampering with drug test specimen. On 5/3/17, I received a telephone call and explained why he was revoked and gave him the number for our attorney. On November 27th, 17, received call and explained he could make new application online, but would need to go before the board on 12/7/17 if he was able to get everything together in time. I told him to call me when he was going to apply online so I could place him on the agenda. On 12/11/17, Mr. Murray will take drug tests for 6 months by Adam Cunningham, the QA for Beacon. At the end of the 6 months, new application may be submitted. Then he'd have to come back for the board. And there is no application yet. I believe this is why he's here to talk to it before he spent all that money.
Okay, go ahead.
That's it. That's where we are today. We've done the 6 random drug tests. He's a state employee in the cabling division, and we're just trying to get him back on the alarm side so we can.
What have y'all done to ensure that he's not substituted somebody else's urine for these screens since he's done that in the past?
He has about a 15-minute window to go take the drug test. on random days, and he doesn't know when it's going to happen. I go to my HR and say, hey, we're going to do a drug test tomorrow for him. She gets me the paperwork, and I deliver it. Or sometimes I've called him a couple times and say, hey, come pick this up. You got a drug test. But he doesn't know until he's got to go do it right then and there.
Drive him to the collection place? Or
I
does
do
he-
not. I do not. It is like almost literally across the street from us. I can watch him drive to it. But through the training, through the state of what my rights are as an employer, I can't really do a whole lot of that. I can't hand walk someone in there. It's not. It's a violation of some little things on my. From when I had to go through the training of how to handle employees in drug situations, I'm really not allowed to hand walk them and do that. So I just didn't overstep my boundaries of what.
Yeah, you're telling me you can't drive him to the collection site?
I can. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I can.
I don't mean go into the stall with him, but I mean, but you just don't let him drive by himself from point A to point B.
He did drive by himself across the street to it.
Why did he drive if it's across the street?
Because crossing Donaldson Pike.
Well, I have questions.
I don't think so. I apologize for the confusion. I think we were all a little messed up on why we were back here in the time frame of all that. But that is exactly what we talked about 6 months ago, say 8 months ago, whatever it was. And it's got the proof that, he's passed. I don't have any problem with him applying for a new application at that point.
I wasn't at that meeting either, but it sounds like what you said was he needed to have 6 months clean on drug test and then reapply. This meeting wasn't necessarily necessary, or
Oh, yes, this meeting was necessary.
Okay.
Right.
Because I was not going to approve an application that the board had already revoked.
well, it sounds like maybe the application needs to be put in and then it come to the board because there could also be other criminal charges or something else on there that we don't know about at this time. Hopefully there aren't. And
Do we need to make a motion to accept his application?
I don't even have an application. I think what the gentleman, if you tell him it's all right, he would make an application. We would accept those drug screenings, and then whatever else you might put on there. But, it's a renewal period of 2 years. Maybe you might the drug test. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. But he'll need, once you approve it, I will tell him how to make the application online. Tell him, and then we can go ahead and prove it without coming back for the board.
If everything else checks out.
Yeah, if everything else is okay.
Sir, does your company do random drug tests anyway? Is that part of your program?
We don't really do them a whole lot because every time we start a new job, like they require it to be on the site. We got to do a 9-panel for, I have 17 different sites, so everybody gets it. We would do it, but there's no reason to. Everybody's done every couple months. So, and he did all of those for the job sites to be required to work on, and then plus these. So we didn't count those as a random.
You feel good about it?
I don't know the old version of him. All I know is this guy, and he's just a heck of a worker. And all I can do is know him for what I've seen, and I wouldn't put my neck out for that. We've hired and fired 15 or so people in the last year, but I like this guy.
Application, go from there.
Okay.
You don't need a vote.
I don't, do we need a vote? Okay, I don't think we need a vote. All right, so what the gentleman's going to do, Mr. Murray, is make application. I would like for you to submit those drug tests with the application. And there's anything else that the board want done?
I don't see.
Okay, all right. Once I get that application and I have the drug screenings and everything is okay, I prefer to go ahead and approve it, or do you want me to bring it back to the board?
I would say, unless there's something outside of what we've seen, approve it. If there's something additional that we need to look at, let us know.
If it meets all the other qualifications. All right, I can do that. Mr. Murray, you got that?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
All
And there's
right.
no new charges, just letting you know.
I mean, I don't feel like there's really anything for us to make a decision on here. The decision was already made. If we told him at another meeting, you're clean for 6 months, you can reapply, that's what we need to do. I honestly am not real comfortable with that, but if that's what we decided, that's what we should do.
Right, but he didn't make the application. He wanted to come and talk to the board before they spent that money again. Right, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. Okay, I believe the next one on the agenda is Exhibit D, Mr. Tatum. Gentleman would sign in.
I've already signed in.
Oh, okay, good. You, well, all right.
Are you Mr. Tatum?
Yes.
And you are?
I'm Steve Trevillo.
Okay.
Trovillo.
I gave Mr. Tatum a copy of that written explanation that you have in the file as well, so you can go over it with him.
When we had asked to appear, or what is the circumstances on this?
Yes, I asked him to appear, based on the criminal record.
have the actual criminal record? I mean, this is all just explanation, what I'm looking at. Is that,
I do have the TBI and FBI, but I'm not,
No.
I'm not at liberty to share it with you. That's why I've written it down. Paper, I should have got, I'm sorry if it didn't get copied over. I had in 2012 criminal trespassing, guilty. We had another criminal trespass in 2006, and I wasn't able to determine whether that was guilty or not. 2009 looked like we had possession of tools and marijuana, which he was found guilty. Yes, the criminal trespassing.
Oh, okay.
I guess I was just confused, because sometimes we'll have some of the other documents there, and this.
Right, if he supplies, or if the individual supplies the court documents or whatever, yes, I can put him in the packet. Other than that, from the TBI, the FBI, so Mr. Richard, since he's new.
This
I
all
cannot.
corresponds with the.
With the record, yes, sir.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
What was the criminal charge in 2006 again? I'm sorry.
I have criminal trespassing.
Ours shows possession of marijuana.
Then I'm,
His explanation is,
I'm familiar with the criminal trespassing 2006.
let me take a look, if you don't mind. I'll just take a look, and I may have.
while she's looking, I have one question. When did you type out this letter of explanation?
It was actually right before I submitted my application.
And that would be when? I have a lot of concern with the explanation you provided on the 5/25 of 2012. Not so much for the offense, but your explanation. You think you do nothing wrong by going past a locked gate?
I just don't think I should have been arrested. That's all.
Maybe 10 years, 7 years. We go all the way back to juvenile. Look at the juvenile record, of course, but we sometimes see things.
I guess let's just hear a little bit about what you have to say about maybe the more recent, the 2012, 2008 incidents. I guess that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, the 2012 criminal trespassing, I was definitely breaking the law. I was being stupid, but when I got into Hamilton County, all the officers said that the UTC cop, that they would have just given me a ticket, I guess. Since we weren't harming it. 2008's just complicated, convoluted story. I was in the wrong place with the wrong.
I have to maintain the red light for the audio system.
Okay. Do you have any specific questions?
Money was involved in the theft in 2008.
I think it was like I didn't endorse him taking any money or anything like that. My friend did all we could to try to talk him out of it.
Warrant for when the police had showed up.
I believe it was burglary.
Friend's dad named both of you or
Yes,
it
and
was
I
related to
wasn't
that.
even present when it was taken.
What's UTC? Is that where you say UTC comp? Is that
University of Tennessee.
Chattanooga?
Of Chattanooga, yeah.
Hello? Are you here to speak on his behalf? He needs
I
a
am.
little help here.
I am. So I've known the family for a very long time and very good friends. Pillars of the community, Mr. Tatum, his dad's a business owner, his mom's a business owner. Jeff went through a rough patch. I believe in second chances. I think the last 6 years he's been impeccably clean, cleaned up his act, kind of changed kind of a little bit of circle of friends. And, you know, sometimes when we go through our younger years, we go through a rebellious stage based on certain things, but I think he's coming out of that and came out of that. And I think he deserves an opportunity to move into a career that will benefit him and his future family.
Work for you.
So he hadn't really worked for me yet because I insist on them getting licensed before they come to work. He did do 2 training runs with my QA and went out in the field and just assisted him. The report is very hard worker, climbed in ceilings, was able to do everything, very well, understands the wiring and everything else, and he did a really good job there. It's kind of a test to see if he was actually a hard worker. And he was really good, really responsive on time, and he communicates well once he gets to know you. He's very shy, is one thing that I have noticed of him. Sometimes everything he wants to communicate doesn't really come out the way he exactly does if you know him real well.
What have you been doing lately while you're...
I work for my dad. I worked for him pretty much all my life. I also do freelance mechanical work. I'm building a motorcycle for my friend. I'm kind of weaning myself off of working with my father, trying to move on, get my own life started. About it. I don't know if you mentioned, my dad owns a electrical contractor business.
I think you'd said in one of your responses that your parents had a lighting showroom.
Yeah, my mother owned the lighting showroom.
You've done some work, electrical work, or working with your dad on that. Yeah. Have any other questions? Or
I don't really. I mean, I get kids do what kids do, and we all grow out of that. These charges are fairly old. I don't have a lot of problem with what's in here. I just think there's some discrepancies here and there. But I'd say, if you're ready to give him a chance, I don't have a problem with it if the board doesn't. I'll make a motion to grant the employee registration.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to grant Mr. Tatum's registered employee application. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries, and I did not vote. Congratulations.
Very
But
much.
I would strongly suggest you improve your interpersonal skills because you're going to have a hard time dealing with consumers that are paying your salary when you find everybody else is at fault for your own actions. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, do we have any more appearances?
We don't have any more appearances, so we'd like to take a break.
Certainly. 20 minutes. The next item on our agenda are the administrative reports, Ms. Vest.
Yes. If you would look on your iPad, I believe the first thing that we have is our monthly report. Just so our new board member will know, we do send this out in advance to you for you to look at. The only thing I wanted you to, that I'm going to mention on this report, Fasting in May, we did have a board member, but he resigned, Mr. Cockburn. He resigned May the 1st. He was unable to serve. We are still looking for another board member. They, of course, are appointed by their... and Mr. Cockcroft has expired in 17. Appreciate him continuing to serve. I have not heard anything at all, Scott, on your reappointment or anything, so... Just please let me know. So anything about that one? If you don't have any questions on that, we'll move right on to the budget review. I hope you could read that because I had to have it reprinted again. It was a little blurry, so I hope you can read yours. Of course, this is through April of this year. Looks like we're going to be ending for the month of April with $179,157. So there's no fear of you read there for the next 2 months. So you will, the alarm board will be in a positive when we end the fiscal year. All right, but no question with that. I believe we can move right on to the budget. The legislative update, and yes, we do have, and I'm going to turn that over to our attorney.
Okay, there are just a couple of legislative changes I wanted to bring to the board's attention. Most importantly would be Public Chapter 793. It's known as the Fresh Start Act. It takes effect July 1st, and what this act requires is that prior to denying an application on the basis of a criminal conviction, the board or commission has to make a connection between that crime and the profession that person is applying for. I know we have statutory language that says we can deny for evidence of poor moral character, but we also have to look at that in relation to the Fresh Start factors. Those factors are the nature and seriousness of the crime for which the individual was convicted, the length of time since the commission of the crime, the relationship between the nature of the crime and the purposes of regulating the occupation, profession, business, or trade for which the license, certificate, or registration is sought, the relationship between the crime and the ability, capacity, and fitness required to perform the duties, any evidence of rehabilitation or treatment undertaken by that individual that might mitigate against the relationship of the crime to the profession, and then any other federal laws that speak to that individual's participation in that occupation. So like I said, that takes effect July 1st. The applications that Cody will bring to you when she does her criminal history review, or if we have appearances, if the board decides to deny that based on whatever crime is on that record, we have to let them know that we're going to deny it based on this crime. And then they have certain appeal rights related to that. They can let us know that they want to appear before you if they aren't here for an appearance, to kind of argue against those factors. So if we decide that a conviction in 2012 is close enough to a 2018 denial, they can let us know they want to appeal that, and they can argue that 2012 was far enough away that it shouldn't be the reason that they're denied. Does that make sense? Any questions? And then the other ones are just small things that the administration has to go through when if we decide to do a rulemaking hearing, we have to provide the public with a copy of the red line instead of just the changed rules, so they can see exactly what we're changing in the rules. Like I said, this is more administrative stuff. But I wanted to make sure the board was aware of the Fresh Start Act that goes into effect July 1st.
All right, any questions for, I'm sure we will have quite a few once we actually sit down in the office and start going over this. I've already talked with Attorney Thomas and told her we were setting up a meeting. I have 3 people that do the criminal records in the department, so we'll need to sit down because it may change the way we're looking at the criminal histories.
Think of any examples of something that wouldn't apply? I mean, there's a lot of things that, obviously, I mean, in my mind, drug charges, would still apply. If it was a robbery or burglary, that very definitely applies. But I guess you get into some gray areas like a DUI or something that.
And I don't think Cody really looks at those like the DUIs, but maybe the drug possession or something like that. We have to say we're not just denying it because there's a drug possession conviction on there. We have to say it's close enough to their application date that there was no real evidence of rehabilitation since then. It affects their ability to serve as an installer or working for the monitoring company in some way.
I think a lot of ours, too, can go to public safety, because they're going into people's homes and businesses, versus other things. I think a lot of ours can be pulled in under that umbrella about our concern for the safety of the public that they're serving.
And what this law does, we just have to make sure that it's open and on the record as to what the connection is, and that that the board has looked at those factors in making that determination.
Okay, I think if it don't have any more questions on that, I do not have any applications to review.
We have an extension for a QA in our file. Is that still? Oh, that
Next.
comes after the application.
That's okay.
Never mind.
That's all right.
It comes up next in the
This
iPad.
it does. It's next, and we don't have any application reviews.
Okay.
All right. What we have here, you should have on your iPad, is a SITESAFE Security. They had made application on November the 5th. I'm sorry. They were issued February the 5th of 18 and expires 2/29 of 20. They have lost their qualifying agent. And it says that they must notify us of in 10 days who they wish to that they have lost it, and they have 30 days to replace the qualifying agent or ask for an extension for 3 months. So this is a request for an extension.
Make a motion that we extend or grant the extension for Edward Conrady. However you say that.
Site Safe Security is easy.
There you go. Site Safe Security. At their extension till they find a qualifying agent.
Would it be another 90-day, or would it be a 90-day extension? Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Calcroft to grant this extension request for qualifying agent for Site Safe for 90 days. All in favor, voice by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion carries.
All right, thank you. I will be notifying them that we did grant the extension, and if it's all right with the board, I'm going to tell the gentleman that it says in here that or he asked or whatever, he needs to go ahead and make his application himself. The individual who wrote the letter is the one who wants to be the QA, so he needs to go ahead and make the application while he's trying together so we can show that it's within the time frame. I will do that. All right. The next thing we have is criminal history reviews. This does not fall under the Fresh Start Act, which will start in July.
But you can start thinking that way.
One good thing I can say about this board, whenever we do, for Mr. Richard as well, whenever we do, or the board decides to deny someone, we do quote the statute that it falls under. That way, whenever you call me, or there's any correspondence, we can go right back and say the board said due to this and this, whatever. We would have that documentation. Not all programs do that. I think the first one, I hope so, on your Exhibit A is John Calderon, is the way I pronounce that. I've tried to make it just a little bit easier. I have a sheet, should have a sheet there. In 1996, was breaking into a motor vehicle for 2 counts. He's found guilty on both counts. And also had possession of burglary tools, which was dismissed with leave, without. In 1996, had larceny, which was found guilty. In 2001, it was embezzlement, but it was reduced down to a misdemeanor. You'll find in your packet a written explanation from the gentleman. You will all probably also see in there, did you copy these?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. You'll also see the information that he provided to us, Lou. If the individual provides the criminal history or anything related to a criminal history, it goes into the packet. The only thing that does not is the actual.
On this one that we're reviewing now, I can't remember what you said his name was.
Aldrin, isn't it?
Alderon.
Uh-huh.
This company, the CBE, are they an alarm systems contractor?
Capital Business Equipment, license number 876.
Isn't it on their paperwork? I was asking what kind of company it is.
Gentleman's making an application to be a field service technician.
I'll just read from their website. It says CBE is an industry leader in point-of-sale solutions and security products with the expertise to develop systems based on specific business environments. You want me to keep reading? I can keep reading. While many of our customers are part of the C-store industry, our client base includes restaurants, clothing stores, and unique specialty shops.
I think the issue probably, there's no license number on the letter.
Okay.
Yeah, it says CBE, but there's no an alarm systems license number on their correspondence, and it's something about long-term investment. I wasn't sure what kind of company it was.
They're classified in Bergen CCTV. I got that. There's no number. That's usually a $100 fine. Letter of warning for the first one. I'm sorry. It's always a letter of warning. That's what the board wants me to do.
Now we'll look at this gentleman's explanation. Doesn't provide any real explanation for the embezzling charge. Was there anything in his file that gives an explanation for it?
All I have is that one letter from the CBE. It's on the CBE letterhead.
Ms. Hickson, it looks like the embezzlement was the charge, but he was convicted. It was reduced down to misdemeanor larceny. So if I were guessing, I would think that's why he didn't have that explanation there. It looks like it was reduced down, and so he gave an explanation for the larceny conviction rather than the embezzlement charge.
That's two allegations of theft from an employer. Okay.
So when you're looking at that.
It was a long time ago, but it is troubling. He doesn't really have a lot of explanation for he says he didn't embezzle, but yet he was convicted of misdemeanor larceny. He was convicted of something. Other than 96,
Need to speak into the mic, please,
sorry about
sir.
that.
Could you repeat your question?
Well, I was making somewhat of a statement, but it appears that he was a juvenile when the 96 charge took place. He says they waited until he was 18 to try him. In the 2001, he doesn't say, he just says he didn't do it, but yet he was convicted of it. He was convicted of a lesser charge. He was convicted of misdemeanor larceny, saying that even that was a long time ago.
According to the date of birth and the date, I think he would have been 19.
When that happened.
It says they were waiting for me to turn 18 to be tried as an adult, but if his arrest was in January of 96.
Birthday is 1977, so I made it 19.
What's this guy going to be doing?
Technician.
Yeah, just a field technician, service technician.
It's just this.
Right,
Sorry.
Mr. Richard.
I'm sorry. The 2001, December of 2001, it's just a little foggy as far as exactly what happened. As a new member, can we, I apologize, can we ask this applicant to appear?
We can.
Prepare, yes.
Another option would be for the staff to reach out to him for a more in-depth explanation for what happened, what was taken and so forth, and then we can defer to them to say, yeah, it's okay under these conditions.
That, I can do that. I can go back and make a telephone call and have him put it in writing. His home is in North Carolina and the company's in Alabama. But still, or request them to come in, they come in. Doesn't matter where they live at. But I will first reach out, try to get an additional information, and then bring it back to the board
in August.
I think my number one question when I ask myself if I want to do that or not, it's 17-year-old crime. It's kind of petty to begin with. Is no matter what the person says, one way or another, is it really going to make that big a cost and time and expense to get here and go through?
Well, that's why I say
what
let
we
Cody
do. I get
reach
that.
out to them, and if he's got an explanation, because I agree with you. It's been 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And if it was something minor or whatever, then okay. Really don't know what he did
Or didn't do.
Yeah. And if she feels comfortable to with his explanation, then go ahead and approve it. You need a motion on that?
Please, ma'am.
Are you okay with that motion? I'm not requesting him to.
Well, that, yeah, is Mr. Board Member Richard who made the motion. Is that?
No, Keith made the motion
No,
to.
he made the first one.
Oh, you did?
No, I raised the question. I didn't make a motion.
I was going to say, Keith made the motion to approve it, and then Lou asked the question about the explanation. So we don't have a second yet.
So what's the motion at this point in time?
To approving, if he offers a reasonable explanation that Cody feels comfortable with, and he provides details about the embezzlement charge that was reduced to larceny.
I second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Harvey and a second by Mr. Cockcroft to get a little bit more information, and if everything's okay, then the board approves his employee registration application.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
All right, I believe the next one is going to be Alvin Alexander. It'll be Exhibit B.
We're going to
Yeah.
need about an hour.
Take your,
Have you got Cliff Notes?
yes.
Yes, thank you.
February 24th of 1998 and February the 27th, controlled substance, and the 4th, well, forget that one, it wasn't prosecuted. I got 5/12 of 1998, controlled substance, concealment of merchandise reduced down to a public order crime, which is guilty. 5/23/99, failure to appear several times, and also concerning trespassing. Larceny was changed to shoplifting. He was guilty, got 5 years probation. 2002, let me back up. For the 10th of 1991, robbery, 2 counts, reduced to attempted robbery, guilty. January 23rd of 94, resisting arrest, that was nully. 4/8 of 1996, there was another robbery, but there was no complaint filed. 4/27/1996 was controlled substance. 3/31 of 97 was robbery in the first degree. I forgot the 5/30/2008 misconduct, controlled substance, and 4th degree guilty felony.
What was that date, Ms. Vest?
5/30/2008. Okay, for that 2008 crime on your iPad, the judgment's on page 52, if you need to see that. Might be a little difficult for this gentleman to come in. He's from Alaska.
Is he going to be doing monitoring or something?
Sales representative. Work in a call center or something like that.
His address shows Anchorage, but yet the company shows Utah. And he's also addressed his letter to the state of Arkansas. As he's trying to get licensed in a number of states. None of that's a big issue, but I think it's criminal history is.
Alder, what does that company do? Do we know?
Alder Home Protection, something like that. Yeah, Alder Home.
Let's say the name in his response at the very bottom, new job offer at Alder Home Protection.
Yeah, that's for You are correct. The application says Alaska. The company that wants to employ this gentleman.
Always the tough ones. And I get it. He's going to be at a central station probably some. I said these are always the tough ones to look at because it'd be a lot easier to have a conversation with that fella and maybe know a little more about him, but that's not going to happen. And he's at a central station probably across the country from here. So.
Well, and you're saying that it was going to be a sales representative, or, I mean, it shouldn't really matter what the position is, and it shouldn't matter where they are. If he wants to come in, he or she, if the person wants to come in.
Well, let me ask the board, would you accept the person could call in?
Yes.
I would think that would be satisfactory. But I don't think we should really give much to where they are. It's not fair to give someone different if they happen to live in Nashville versus they live in Alaska.
I agree completely, but I go back to my former statement of what difference does it really make, you know? If this guy's got enough of a criminal history, which we have done in the past, have seen, that we just said they're just not suitable for our type work, you know, so I think
I wouldn't be more inclined to just deny. I mean, I'm not suggesting that we request the person to come in, but they always have that option. Feelings from anybody?
All right, I didn't write down what you decided.
We didn't decide anything.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking, I didn't write a thing. What is it?
I'll make a motion to deny the application.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Cockcroft, a second by Mr. Richard to deny the application. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Application is denied. Thank you.
Add on poor moral character?
Citation.
Yes.
That citation is TCA 6232-312, subpart E, part 2.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next one. Exhibit C, Joshua Dapper. Dapper, that's the way I pronounce it. I'll give you a brief history of this. Well, 8/27/2010, failure to pay fines, guilty. December of 2002, passing bad checks. I wasn't able to determine what that was. 1/11/2003, possession of paraphernalia, guilty. 11/29. 7/31/03, violation of probation, guilty, paraphernalia. The other charges were dismissed except for the DUI. 8/21/2003, failed to be booked and processed, guilty. 5/14/2005, DUI, guilty. Violation of vehicle registration was dismissed. 5/14/2006, a DUI, third offense, guilty, 45 days, license suspended. Public intoxication, possession, refusal to submit, reckless driving, and he went to the correctional center for that for the 45 days. 9/20/2006, violation of vehicle registration was dismissed along with the DUI. 11/21/2006, violation of probation. 12/21/2006, violation of probation. January 2nd, 2007, violation of probation, 2 counts dismissed. And on January 26, 2007, violation of probation was dismissed. January the 7th of 2008, I've got DUI, third offense, 120 days, reckless driving, and license suspended. November the 9th of 2009, petition to revoke. On 6/24/2012, emerged from Al All suspended license. I didn't determine.
What was that?
Merged from, it's a driving offenses.
It's like no insurance. Financial.
Yeah, financial laws, no insurance, has suspended license. 62412. From now on, if it'd be helpful for you, I'll put my cliff notes in on a sheet of paper and copy them over for you. That would be. This gentleman here wants to be a technician.
Why is there this letter from the TBI about fingerprints? Is that because he requested this without fingerprints?
That is document, you can go, excuse me, to the TBI and the FBI, and you can run your own background check. That's what this is.
So he did his own,
He
just
did
to have
his
all
own,
his records.
But we still, yes, and then we're going to compare what he got to what I got. Once you get back to past the criminal record he submitted, he did put written charges. It doesn't say what they were for or what happened or anything, but I mean it does say what they're for. But it goes. He's still on there, isn't he? Attention.
Tough to look at. I'm not real fond of the criminal history myself, but I'd make a motion to deny.
We have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Cockcroft to deny this employee registration application based on TCA 6232 312E2. All in favor, voice by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
The next one on the agenda will be Exhibit D. This one here is February 13th of 2012, possession of Class C controlled substance, guilty, 6/26/2012, theft of property, deferred adjudication. She has her court documents and her explanation. What he's talking about is this. The substance was given to the officer.
Doesn't say what she possessed. I know it was less, appears to be less than 2. We don't know what she possessed, correct?
All her written explanation said it was just not properly labeled in a bottle.
Make a motion due to the age of this event and the explanation over here that we grant registration.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harvey to grant this employee registration. Do we have a second? And a second by Mr. Richard. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The registration's granted.
Next one is actually, last name is Jackson. Rodney Royce Jackson. We forgot to put the last name on there. And here is February 13th of 2012, battery convicted, 4/10 of 2012. This individual here is with for alarm monitoring and customer support operator.
They're missing their number 2 on their correspondence.
Don't they list them on the back sometimes?
I beg your pardon?
One of these, there's a company that lists all of their licenses on the back of, license, is that what you were talking about? They're missing a license number on the,
They got the logo, but they don't have any.
That's what I say. But it's written from him, so if it's written from the QA, it'd probably have the number on it. But he just probably picked up a piece of paper and just tacked it up or something. I don't, however you want me to handle that. Won't hurt anything if you want me to send a letter of warning.
It's got their logo on it. It's lacking for other information, but it does have their logo on it. Do we have a motion on Mr. Jackson?
new fresh start, which doesn't apply to this, we're supposed to keep in mind what their job would be. In the past, we weren't really supposed to consider that because the person could be licensed for any position.
And I think that that's still true. They could, once they receive the registration, they can move within the company of what they do. But yes, Fresh Start does also say that we need to look at the position that they're applying for versus they're considering.
I wouldn't diminish the charges. I think they're serious charges, but I don't think they would apply to the position. I make a motion to approve the application.
Second.
Hey, we have a motion by Mr. Crockoff, a second by Mr. Harvey to approve this employee registration application. All in favor, voice by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. Next, I think we have
Callaway.
Callaway.
That's the last one we have for criminal records. And that should be Exhibit F. What I found on the record was 8/4 of 2016 fraud, filed false fund reimbursement. He got 3 years of probation. Let me look at it. I believe that's what it is. This individual will be a monitoring, with a monitoring company as well. Actually, what the U.S. District Court says is criminal, false, and fictitious claims.
The document says TVA authority, $109,000, and U.S. Department of Energy Office of Inspector General, over $7,000, a total of $116,493. I don't.
Yeah, that's why I said no to a bad check.
I don't.
Reading this correct, that this was the judgment or whatever was in 2017, and it's 3 years probation?
Yes, the violation looked like it said concluded December 2015, dated the judgments January the 19th of 2017.
Probation.
Yes, 3 years from 2017.
Make a motion to deny Mr. Callaway his employee registration.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Richard to deny this employee registration application. Oh, Mr. Callaway, all in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Application's denied.
Is that the same, it would be on the same one?
Yes, ma'am,
6230.
6232 3. Two.
All right, that's all I have for the criminal history section.
Next, I think we have the education review.
I'm going to ask the board if we can do this in order that we have it, instead of jumping around. Lou, did you get your information from us? Yes, ma'am. All right. We gave you the one from Access that said, first one we gave you was Access for Network Video Fundamentals and Certification. They want 21 hours of continuing education for Berg, Fire, and CCTV. Now, all of you got these courses, right, Shauna?
No,
Just
they
the
all
people?
It just went to certain people.
Okay, just, so Lou's the only one that got that one.
Typically, we haven't approved any, I mean, they're approved for all areas, right? They request them for a Berg fire or.
They request them for whatever area they want them. Uh-huh. This
But
is for,
I don't think we've been approving them for a specific category, have we?
oh, I see what you're saying. What they've asked for you to approve is for continuing education, period. Use the situation by writing my own notes. And then, Lou, we also gave you AMG/UNIVIEW Tech, Competitive Advantages of New Video Technology. They want 2 hours of continuing education for that course.
I would approve.
How far down the list did Mr. Richard have?
He has a couple more.
A lot of times what we do is by person. You know, if they approve the 5 courses, we can do it.
I got it listed on this piece of paper, and it's just a lot easier to say approved, and I can get it put onto the, but I'll do it any way the board would like for me to do it. If you wish for me to do it that way, I can. Okay, Lou, let's move right on to your other courses, if you don't mind. So you said approve both of those courses?
Yes.
All right. And I believe you also had Intelligent Marketing Incorporated, Talkaphone Area of Rescue Systems, 2 hours for continued education.
That one, There was one more that lacked the certificate, a copy of the certificate, and I think that was.
Uplink Security.
It's the one, Shauna, that you sent me.
Uplink Security, increasing recurring revenue with cellular synopsis. 1 hour continuing education.
I believe that was the one that didn't have the certificate, but if we can ask for a copy of that certificate, I would come with the course and we can approve it.
With me, so let me just, we could have been something we just forgot to copy or something. So let me look through just a moment. That's the one I made a note on. Looked like all they gave you was the PowerPoint. So you want me to go back and ask them for the copy of the certificate, then it would be approved?
Without the certificate anyway.
I don't know that everyone sends a copy of the certificate, do they? It's,
Always do that, no.
But they're required to, aren't they?
I think in the past, yes, but we would prefer to have a copy of what the actual certificate's going to look like. I'll get with them and ask them for the certificate. And it looks like it was all handwritten and it's just a PowerPoint. That's why I made my notes. Right, that's all that you had, Lou. Scott, would you like to do yours next?
Sure.
Okay, we sent you the Elite to start with. There's quite a few of the Elite.
They're all good for continuing education, and that's what they asked for on everything, I believe.
2 hours, and one is for 3 hours. For all, yes, sir, it's all continuing education.
Those we had others that were renewals, or are those renewals as well?
Yes, sir, it is. All of them that you had. Well, I believe everything we have is continuing education today.
No, I meant I think the Jade had already been approved. So all of the Elite and Jade also had the Monitoring Association.
The reason you have that one, because it's already been on the course list, but it was the Monitoring Association, and they've changed name from CSAA.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we brought it back to make sure it got it on the list correctly.
Everything looked good on what I had.
That's going to leave Keith then. Keith, we gave you the HICVision, HIKVISION. All of that is continuing education.
HICVision.
HICVision, okay, excuse me. Did I say HIC? Yes. Thank you.
It was a good course. It's definitely good for continuing ed.
And you had the Nortec, Security and Control. They wanted 2 hours for continuing ed.
That was a very, very much brand specific, but it was, I'm sure it's for their own personal training program, so that's fine for continuing ed.
Then.
What about I've got one for intelligent marketing.
That was Lou. He approved that one.
Okay, I missed it on my list. So all are approved as presented except the second uplink needs the certificate submitted?
Yes.
Yes, all of them was approved except for uplink security, increasing recurring revenue with cellular synopsis. I will ask for, if that's what you want me to do, I will ask for a copy of the certificate. Then will it be approved?
Yes, I was just going by what's on the application where it says exact course title, certificate showing exact.
I
We
make a
need a
motion
motion.
to approve all of the classes as presented for continuing education.
Okay, we have a motion, Mr. Cockcroft, to accept all of the courses presented for continuing education. Second by Mr. Harvey. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The education is approved.
I don't have any unfinished business unless the board does.
I got some new business. Could I do that?
That's next, yes,
Okay.
sir. Sure can.
Just something that might help myself and some of the other board members. I know you guys are covered up all the time, and you get all this information to you as quick as we can, but if there's any way we could get those course reviews a little sooner, like this happens to me, it seems like every time, but this past week I was on vacation, and I got back the day, I had 1 day between, and had I had 50 like I did last time, there'd have been no way I could have got them done, but yeah.
Would it help if we send them? Well, we don't want them to get so old you don't remember them,
Right.
but we can start sending them out as we get them if you'd like.
Everybody think about it.
How about we do a 2-week cutoff before the meeting? Because you're not usually gone for more than 2 weeks.
Well, some of them, they're getting ready to have maybe a seminar or a course, and
Sure, and that's going to
they
happen.
need to
that
have
can-
that can be.
Yeah, but
put
there can
on-
be an exception, you know,
Okay.
for example, like in Keith's situation, if he was on vacation, then, you know, he needs to let Shauna know,
Yeah.
you know, or put an out of office reply or whatever, and then if you don't hear back, you need to find somebody else.
You could always, you know, you could have the 2-week cutoff, send them out what you have at 2 weeks. If you end up getting another couple,
Right.
we could even review them the day of if we had to.
Yeah, that happened this last time. I think I had 2.
Another thing is, we need to start making sure we're going to have a quorum for these meetings too, because there've been times in the past to cancel or postpone the meeting. Used to, we were polled to make sure we were going to have a quorum, and that needs to start back again.
Well, actually, board members, if you're not going to attend, you need to let me know.
I agree, but you also need to verify too sometimes.
I can do that. I'll be glad to do that. Thank you very much. I will put that on my notepad here. But I would like, honestly, if you
Right, you
got
need to
the,
know.
you know, this has never really been that big of a problem. Hopefully, we'll have another board member pretty soon. Back to full board. Or you can just quit taking vacations.
Don't do that.
No. Take us with you. I mean, you know, we can move the whole board meeting to wherever you're going.
What is it, we have to have 3?
Yes, you have to have 3.
Majority.
Okay, we've got new business, any unfinished business?
No, I didn't have any. Thank you, Keith. We'll do that.
This meeting is adjourned. We'll be back in August. Now, on the August, are we going to be here all day, or do we know yet?
I do not know.
As far as the hearing.
I hadn't started the agenda for August. I don't know.
I don't know if the recording's off.
We're off, aren't we?